Hello, what up? Bomb Squad, how you guys doing today? Today, I just saw this video here made by another Matthew. Did we just discover dark matter stars? Well, here's a cool thing that I wanted to go into is I've explained that there is root of matter inside of a quantum bit, right? And basically what's happening is all of the stars are shooting us in creating our vacuum, creating our gravity, holding us together. Meanwhile, this root of matter is spinning and moving and doing all kinds of stuff, trying to get out, exchanging in, exchanging out constantly. And what's happening here is depending on the variable, right? So x equals infinity, pretty well, not really infinity, but oscillation at least, right? X equals an operating system. It's an operating system until it ceases to operate. For the most part, dark matter can mean a plethora of things. Let's talk about the main two things that I want to talk about. At least the main one thing I want to talk about is when light comes into a quantum bit, it partially refracts, right? And partially keeps going through, even sometimes through the particle itself, right? It completely misses all of the root fundamental matters in there, right? So it can go right through all over the place. And then all over the place, it's coming back out. All right. And this creates a relative perceived wave in the moment. And if your eye is right here, it's going to alternate these into electron signal central nervous system. Because your eye is charged, your brain is charged, your central nervous system is operating, and it's going to alternate from lower factorial bits. This is domino code, basically. Your eyeball is basically domino code. And then you'll see, right? Well, basically, dark matter is invisible. It's oscillating in a type of way where almost all of the light is passing through it, right? And then the light's coming in here because it's coming from all directions, right? Depending on how it hits, it can chain react before it gets out to the other side because there's such high kinetic energy in here and it's such an advanced operating system that when the light comes in, it shoots out a similar path of light, right? Effectively creating invisibility, right? So this is quantum invisibility theory, a way of teaching you what dark matter is, right? So I wanted to bring up what I believe dark matter can be, right? So this is a super important thing to understand. It ties into my previous videos, right? With the quantum entanglement 2 and black holes 2. Well, this is potentially dark matter 2. Now, yesterday on stream, I was talking about similar things, talking about um, how to quantum superjack and like superhero science and superjack science, basically being like extremely high kinetic energy. Well, I want to talk about that here too because a lot of you didn't see my stream and a lot of you won't. All right. Basically, I was talking about quantum decoherent operating system. So this quantum bit gets copied, right? And it has a similar but different operating system and it's all over the place, right? And basically, there is decoherent operating systems in between them, right? Resonant operating systems, right? Now, there's a resonant operating system that is the whole thing, the whole dynamic as well. And in each and every single part, there's a resonant operating system as well, right? It's super important to understand because when it's all together, It is the total operating system, and your eyeball is here, right? Eyeball wants to see from this conglomeration of stuff, right? So this will help you understand more on how it works. Quantum decoherence is basically all the light is coming in from all 360 degrees, right? Pushing bits, little bits of this. So what they say is light has no mass. That's because relative to our scientific method, that it has no mass, meaning if it hits a piece of quantum bit, right, it causes no change to the state of the quantum bit. So we can't measure the mass of light yet, right? So we say it has no mass, right? So that's not inherently totally true. We also have a decryption algorithm in our brain, in our central nervous system, right? X equals our state of being, or our central nervous system, or something like that. Decryption protocol, basically, right? So for the most part, if light has no mass, if light equals zero mass, right, it could save us from infinite potential travesties, because somebody could shoot a whole bunch of light at this, make it um, 0 Kelvin, and then boom, everything's dead. And that would actually work. But if light has zero mass to your perception, you could be hosted out here, right? And if they, send a 0 Kelvin signal to this, right, it'll decode here. It'll make a 0 Kelvin state. Everything will be 0 Kelvin. But get this, you were hosted over here, right? And it'll bring everything back virtually in this decentralized position over here. That's light has zero mass. Because your central nervous system is a redundant decryption device of the universe, meaning the universe is hosted in infinite redundancy. When terror that causes mass travesty, this is actually also this is called nuclear code. Nuclear code means an infinitely powerful source code that doesn't really get hacked, that you're either below, right, or above, right? And in this case, we'll flip it. We'll flip the switch, right? Earlier, I deleted this segment up here, right? If you fail nuclear code, meaning like you want weapons of mass destruction, you would go up here, right? If you pass nuclear code and nuclear code's like, hey, we don't want weapons of mass destruction, you would go down here with your decentralized consciousness. You would sit down here in an encrypted decentralized consciousness, right? In more encrypted, more decentralized, because nuclear code doesn't get hacked, right? The bar of hacking is like somewhere up here, right? The bar of not hacking is down here, right? So this is particle operating system redundancy and dark matter, and what I think it is. I want to get on the second topic. This one's less important to me. Some people want to talk about evil universes, basically like dark lords, right? Like let's say that there is a lord of an operating system. He built an operating system of particles, and it operates for evil purposes, right? Well, the whole idea is to make sure that it doesn't affect the real life or other lords' real lives, and that it's invisible from the real life. So all of these areas, right? And then you basically change this X, right? Your central nervous system, and get virtually hosted by this operation. And you sit in an evil universe in which you are now, decrypting that universe. Now that's spelling it out all in layman for you. That's basically my theory on dark matter is two different states. Hey, let's talk about antimatter. Well, my theory is on antimatter too. Ooh, you guys are gonna love this one. Antimatter is so simple. We have X, right? X is your central nervous system, your brain, your skull, right? X equals something, right? You got to operate to live, all right? Now you see stuff, right? And if something is coded or working in the right way, right? The right way to do hallucination, right? We're going to talk about hallucination. Hallucination is what I believe really helps people understand antimatter because right now there is no matter here. You can't see anything, right? The light is coming in, you see nothing. Well, let's talk about making something. We're going to change S, and now we see X particle, right? Effectively creating something out of nothing through hallucination. Right? Antimatter, I truly believe, is hallucination. It's altering your central nervous system in order to see what isn't real. And it can get extremely advanced, like completely infinite, right? Well, if we go over here, this is the negatively charged particle, this is the positively charged particle. All it takes is this to be coded in to this infinite something, right? Now, basically, these are going to be filled with roots of bits of matter, or are the roots of bit of matter, because, infinity, right? So, if these touch, they kaboom and delete. That is my theory on antimatter. Antimatter is virtual. There's a thing called the Holy Grail, right? And it's two-parted. Holy Grail. Top part I believe to be is truth. Most important part, right? And the bottom part is the foundation. The foundation is the root of matter, right? The root of matter, right? How do you achieve these two things is actually very simple. Truth works like this. X equals question mark, right? The question mark is like Y plus B, right? Whatever. For the most part, you're trying to make a graph, and everything on one side is true, and everything on the other side is false. And then nothing is the line. That's the idea. If you can make this a variable and call it truth, and you achieve it, and keep making this better and better and better and better and better until it's perfect. The idea has to be that it's perfect. If it's not perfect, if it's one thing false, chop the Holy Grail in half and it's gone, right? The root of matter has to do with eyeball science and work science, right? Ooh, big arm. Yeah, my work is so good. All right, the root of matter, eyeball, and work. This is the Holy Grail, right? You see those muscles? Work, baby. Basically, it's two-parted. Root of matter is extrapolated by infinite. You times these two things by infinity, and then eventually you have a graph again where one thing is virtual root of matter and one thing is real roots of matter. Now, the real roots of matter are right there, right? Virtual roots of matter are right here. You can even cut this graph in again and go real virtual matter, false virtual matter, right? And over here, you want real, real. You want real, real, real roots of matter. And it all has to do with being able to see particles, right? That does not mean that it's already distinguished as real, because it can be virtual particles from the central nervous system and operating system of the eyeball, which means you need to be an eyeball phenotype generation. Then you have to test your scientific method, whether to see if it's virtual or real, right? And you do that with work upon it. So you work upon it, and preferably you don't edit the central nervous system, because if you work upon this chart, because right now we have a variable new particle, right? And we apply work to it, we have to check to see if the central nervous system changes. If the central nervous system is so redundant that we don't have it omni extrapolated, it could change things inside of it without changing it to our perceived, and then we can't accurately place the matter hypothesis as virtual or real. So then you cannot achieve the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is a scientific method, extrapolatable truth that honestly will lead you to greater enlightenment. This is going to help you understand dark matter, it's going to help you understand antimatter, and it's going to help you understand the universe. Thank y'all for watching. OMGBomber.com. I'm out. Peace.